How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Rob Novella, and if you're new around here, I make videos about photography, filmmaking, travel, and all sorts of stuff. So make sure to stick around, make sure to subscribe, and let's be friends. So today's video was meant to be a little bit more of a different video. It was supposed to be about camera accessories that I was bringing to Iceland with me, such as a slider, monitors, and gimbal. And unfortunately, due to the current situation that we are all stuck in the world, we are unable to leave the country. Therefore, we cannot go to Iceland. And I figured, since we're gonna end up going later in the year, hopefully, I would talk about that then. Things may change between now and then, so hey, you never know what kind of gear I might acquire or get rid of. So with that being said, today's video is a comparison and a little bit of an overview of the EOS RP and the EOS R, and letting you know which one I think you should buy depending on what situation you are in. So with that being said, let's talk about a couple of major differences. Number one being the size. If you look at the EOS R, it's definitely heavier, it's bulkier, it's bigger, it has a bigger battery, it uses the traditional Canon LPE6s, and it's definitely nice feeling on your hands. Now, I do have a massive heavy Sigma lens on there. I definitely like using this camera a lot. I have been for the last 6 months. Probably my favorite camera ever, but I'm not gonna talk about that today. I'm just gonna do an overview. The EOS RP, definitely much lighter, uses the LPE17 batteries. So if you have an M series camera by Canon, you will have some of those batteries hopefully laying around. And honestly, I think this camera is a great upgrade if you have something like an M50 and an M6, any type of M camera. That's definitely an upgrade. It's full frame. It has the flip screen that goes to the side. You can get any of the adapters to attach any EF lenses or EFS lenses. So if you have a 10-18, which is super light, it's image stabilized, you pop it on this, you basically have a really cool vlogging setup that you don't have to basically work out in order to lift, which is super nice because that was my goal with this camera. I wanted something that I could vlog with, that was lighter and easier to basically work with. I love my EOS R, don't get me wrong, it is my favorite camera as I previously said, but it is very heavy. So if I'm trying to vlog with this camera, my arms get tired really fast. So yeah, that's I guess a quick overview. Both cameras shoot 4K. The EOS R has a 1.8 crop, while the EOS RP has a 1.6 crop. There's a little difference also in the autofocusing department, because at 4K, the Canon EOS R can do dual pixel AF, while the EOS RP cannot do dual pixel AF. The EOS RP does contrast AF, so it can be a little bit iffy at times, but so far I've tried it and it works fine. It's not terrible. I can deal with it, no problem. Let's talk about frame rate. Both cameras shoot up to 30 frames at 4K. They both shoot 1080 up to 60 frames, and the EOS R actually shoots 120 at 720p, which is a little bit of a pain in the ass to not be able to have 1080 120 frames per second. But realistically, I had it on the A7 III and I did not use it very much, so it's one of those things that it's nice to have, but if you don't, it's not a deal breaker. Just use 60 frames per second and make smooth movements and you'll be just fine. Also, I drink these a lot. I probably should stop. If you're not from Texas or anywhere in the country that sells these, you're missing out. They're the best sparkling waters around. Not sponsored, just love them. So benefits on the EOS R, my favorite kind of features. It shoots 4K, although it is a crop of 1.8, but it does shoot 4K at a very high bit rate. You can shoot in C-Log, and you can do external recording to a monitor recorder of 10-bit 422, which is super nice, especially when you're color grading and trying to really get that cinematic look. It really does make a difference. As far as the RP is concerned, it's obviously very lightweight. It actually has a 1.6 crop. Surprisingly, it is a smaller crop than the EOS R. It does not do C-Log, unfortunately. And yeah, the codec is not the best, but for the price, you really can't complain. This is not meant to be kind of a prosumer kind of camera. This is kind of your step into the full frame world. So keep that in mind when you are looking to buy either or, and also keep in mind other options out there. I mean, if you're in the Canon world, invested in Canon lenses, definitely get one of these. But if you're in Sony or Nikon, there are plenty of options around the same price line that you can't really go wrong with. Any camera made in the last couple of years is going to be fantastic, and it's going to do a great job for both photos and video. So yeah. So quick downfalls of both of them: they only have a single SD card slot, which I would expect that on the RP considering the price point, but the EOS R, given that the price, given that it was the very first EOS R of its kind, I would have expected them to come out with a bang. 2 SD card slots, 4K full frame, and 120 frames per second at 1080. Unfortunately, none of those things happened. 4K is cropped, it's 1 SD slot, and 1080 does up to 60 frames per second. Although you can get 720, 120 frames per second, you can't really use it for projects, especially if you're doing client work. I definitely don't recommend using it. But if you're doing client work, you can use 60 frames per second and it'll be just fine. The EOS RP doesn't do 120 frames per second on any resolution. And it also has my biggest pet peeve out of any camera ever, and that is the SD card is in the same spot as the battery. I absolutely hate having to open battery compartments to change the SD cards. I don't know why, because it's not that big of a deal, but I just don't like it. Also, the 4K in the RP does not do the dual pixel autofocus. It does a contrast based autofocus, which is fine. It's just not as good. It's still a pretty solid camera. A couple other features that I like on the EOS R. I definitely like this little touchpad. Most people hate it, but I've been able to set it to control my white balance. So if I tap on the left and then slide it either way, it adjusts the color and the temperature of my white balance. And if I just tap it on the right, it'll automatically go to daylight. So that's definitely a neat feature. Obviously the EOS RP does not have that, given that it's a much smaller body. They're obviously not going to spend the time and resources on putting that into a cheaper camera. So I understand why it doesn't have it. I wish it did, but it's not gonna have it. And honestly, because of all the backlash they've received, probably none of the future cameras will have that, which is a bit of a bummer for me. But needless to say, they're gonna be fantastic cameras. These two are fantastic cameras, and if you're considering buying one, which one would you buy? If I were to tell you which one to buy, I would definitely say buy the EOS R. Basically, you're future-proofing yourself. It'll be a camera that you can use for the next 4 years and you'll be perfectly happy with. The RP is a great camera, but I definitely think of it more as a B cam, or of a camera that you're just kind of gonna take around, vlog with, and just do simple things with. But having the ability to shoot externally, to shoot in C-Log, and to basically shoot dual pixel autofocus for 4K is by far the best way to do it, especially when you're doing sit-down interviews that you don't need a super wide. The crop is fine, you can work with it, not that big of a deal. But yeah, that's gonna be the video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new around here. And yeah, next video is gonna be next week. I'm actually gonna try to make 3 videos next week because I am staying home. I'm self-isolating, and although I'm pretty much self-isolating myself this week, I'm only gonna leave on Thursday because I have to go to work. But yeah, I'm self-isolating. I want to stay away from people. I want to make sure that I am not a carrier of the virus, even if it does not affect me. And I don't want to be infected by this current virus. So yeah, I'm gonna stay home and make a bunch of videos. So make sure to stick around, and I will see you guys on the next video, which will probably be sometime next week. Okay, bye. If you want to know what the next week's videos are about, one's going to be about product photography, one's going to be about my studio. How different does it look when I do that? Looks kind of ridiculous, no? And then the other video is going to be a little bit of a surprise. So yeah, okay, bye.